I just got done watching the brand new episode of The Mandalorian, and what a return to form this week's episode was. This is the way. May I say, coming off last week's episode, which was probably the weakest of all of the Mandalorian shows so far. I didn't hate the episode, but it was definitely very weak and not what I wanted. This episode, holy crap. The Force is strong with us today because Chapter 23, premiered early at Star Wars Celebration, and thankfully no one leaked anything or spoiled anything on me because this is, I heard, was possibly one of the best episodes of Mandalorian yet, and I can't disagree. I honestly think, in terms of stakes, in terms of storytelling, in terms of everything of that nature, this is the episode that hits all the marks. Chapter 23, The Spy, Episode 7, Season 3. Bravo to everyone involved with this. Rick did an amazing job directing this. Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni really tightened that script, and this is the episode that really definitively shows the stakes, the exploration, and starts the pretty much siege of Mandalore, which is really much what a lot of us have been wanting for this season. So before we get any further into this will be a full spoiler review. We're going to talk about this episode in full spoiler detail. Definitely want to hear your guys' thoughts down below in the comment section. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, because if you're watching this right as this video goes up, that means you're just as crazy as me to stay up and watch these episodes late. Anytime Star Wars episodes premiere like this, I'm going to be up right at midnight alongside you guys. So make sure to hit that like and subscribe button for all more content like this. Plus, if you're a geek, you are truly in the right place. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Let's dive in. So there's a lot that happened in this episode. It was one of the longest episodes so far for The Mandalorian, and it opens up in kind of this Blade Runner underbelly on Coruscant, and I was kind of digging the music. I was thriving through that all. I'll have a reaction up in a couple hours on my second channel, so you can definitely go check out all my big pops and all excitement that I had throughout this episode. But it's our person who screwed up Dr. Pershing. She shows up and a probe droid comes down, and it's Moff Gideon, which kind of formulates and brings us back into Giancarlo Esposito, which was interesting to see how that kind of goes in their conversation that they have, and pretty much her saying, this is where we're at, this is where we're going, and then us going to Moff Gideon himself, which then we see these remnants of the Imperial having this interesting conversation, and they start name-dropping Thrawn in there, which makes me really think, Thrawn was just announced to, of course, be premiering in the Ahsoka series. We know that Lars Mikkelsen will be showing up in that. I'm at the point where I'm 85% chance Lars Mikkelsen Thrawn is showing up at least at the very, very end of next week's episode. That feels very definitive in that nature, and I feel very confident in that happening right there. I'm not 100%, but I'm at 85%, which that I'll probably scream over that, because Thrawn is one of the coolest Star Wars characters ever in all of whether non-canon or canon aspects that they've brought in with the character. It is phenomenal. If you've never read the books or if you've never watched Rebels, you absolutely should. But I love all those name drops, and I love how they're like waiting on for him to return, and us as fans know he is coming, but Moff Gideon's like, why don't someone else needs to take charge. But the other thing that they're also mentioning is Project Necromancer, which I can only assume is Palpatine. That's the first thing that sticks into my mind. Maybe you guys can let me know down below if I'm wrong on that, but Project Necromancer, the second I hear that, I'm like, Palpatine. Like, that's your other backup plan. And we even get, like, Hux, like a part of Hux's family in here, which is interesting in itself. So there's all these interesting aspects kind of going in, all these little Easter eggs that they're probing in here for what the Imperium, what the future of the Empire truly is there. But it's also Moff Gideon wanting to take that damn control and take that control of everything in its nature. I'm also ready to go as far to say I think Moff Gideon most likely will die next week. Unless they want to end this on a really sour note this entire season and make us wait for season 4, like in clamoring nature for it, I have a feeling Moff Gideon's dead next season. Whether it's Thrawn ending up killing him or Bo-Katan finally striking that last blow, I think there is that definitive nature to it all. And I don't think this will be the end of the Siege of Mandalore, but maybe just the start of it and that up-and-coming win, because they do need that up-and-coming win specifically after this episode. But that kind of cuts out. We see the Mandalorians returning to Navarro. A great shot of the whole entire the starship, the fleet, everything of that. It was great. All the Mandalorians kind of coming once together, seeing all of them in that spanning field. And it's great to see them all coming together, the armor banging the clang, or the hammer and everything that together. Fantastic. And it was awesome to see, Grief come in and give that bottle of alcohol to Din and be like, it's all the way from Coruscant. And then we get probably some of the cutest aspects of the episode, of course, and it's Grogu in IG-11, or now IG-12, and of course we get Babu Freak's family coming out saying, no bad baby, no squeezy. That was one of the best aspects of the first episode. So, but I like that Grogu has this kind of transformer to walk around in. It's a little bit weird. Like, did we need it? No, but it's cute, and I like that he can now say yes and no, and kind of how that goes. And there's some fun insanity there of him wanting to get food, and now he has all these hands, and Mando has to, like, he's just like, I don't like this. But it kind of leads into Bo-Katan saying, we need to retake Mandalore. We need to retake this. And us as fans know that pretty much Moff Gideon has said, we need to strike at the heart of this. Now that we know the Mandalorians are preparing to retake Mandalore, we need to stop this. And at first I was like, but why does it matter if they take Mandalore? Like, what's so important to you on that? And I kept thinking about it, and maybe it was just me, maybe a lot of you guys recognized it, but as we get to the end of this episode, we see them running through these caverns, and it was a complete trap. I mean, Moff Gideon has been stationed there with his entire army for this entire time. And that was very interesting to see how they were able to bring that in. And the second it clicked for me as they were running, I'm like, no, run back, don't go in, it's a trap. And I really felt like Admiral Akbar going, it's a trap, because it felt that way. And everything of Bo-Katan asking who will volunteer for this and seeing all the different tribe members volunteering it gave me goosebumps. Seeing Din stand up, seeing her old Night Owl stand up, seeing Paz Vizela stand up, seeing the armor join in. All exciting stuff. Then they take the ship in, and you see the whole siege above Mandalore. Beautiful, beautiful visual effects. And as they go in, they take the drop in. They're all there. Grogu's even there in his IG-12. And as they're moving along, they end up finding scavengers. People who have been living on Mandalore this entire time. Other Mandalorians who know who Bo-Katan is and look up to her. And we get this whole great sequence of them being interspliced in here. And I was like, are they the Spies? Are they not? And they get on those boats and they start kind of going across it all. And, there's this nice back and forth. We're seeing a lot of the Mandalorians kind of just work together and also start to fight. Because Paz Vizela and the other Night Owl that I just cannot remember his name. I think his name's Wolves. They end up fighting. And Grogu's the one that ends up stopping them. And again, these conversations just keep going through. And one of the most important conversations in the entire episode is between Bo-Katan and Din himself, where Din pretty much has to hype her up and make her believe in herself. She's not fully believing in herself, even though she now has the Darksaber. And she's like, this is what is reuniting everyone. He goes, my people don't care about that thing. Your people might, but mine don't. We're following you because it's you. And it was a fantastic moment, and it was one of the best moments of the entire season so far. I love that conversation, and I love where their relationship truly has gone, and I'm really happy that this season didn't just make Bo-Katan the villain. I really do think that this is the season that did need to bring the Mandalorians together, and I'm happy that in finally episode 7 they brought them all together. And as they go about, this giant creature comes out, which at first I thought was a mythosaur, and I'm like, oh my god, is it a mythosaur? It's not. Crash lands, hits the entire thing, destroys the boat, kills some Mandalorians. They're going underneath. They get to the Great Forge. Action starts. And now I'm sitting there. I'm like, okay, this episode's called The Spies. Who's the Spies? And these Mandalorian troopers come in with Beskar armor. It's like new forms of like stormtroopers in a sense. And they're having to fight them. And it was intense. It was thrilling. That other Mandalorian got out, though, so they are going to go get backup, hopefully. But they start retreating, and that's when it clicked for me. I'm like, oh god, this is a trap. This is Moff Gideon's base. This is where he's been the whole time. And once those double doors shut it, and Din's fighting them off, and the other Mandalorians die, and they capture him, and you see that black Mandalorian reminiscence of, like, when Maul was in control of Mandalorian. He had those Maul helmet Mandos. Kind of reminded me of that as he drops down. For a second, I was like, oh, is that like what they're going with? Is this going to be one of those people like Gax or Grax? I can't remember his name. It starts with a G. But And the second it spoke, I was like, oh, it's Moff Gideon. And that's like sick that Moff Gideon has that. And I hate Moff Gideon, but I love Giancarlo Esposito so much. And he just has this swagger and perfection to him that every time he speaks, it's a gravitas to it all. And him just kind of like showing that they are defeated, that they just need to give up. They take Din to a debriefing room, which for a second, I am not going to lie, I honestly thought they were going to kill Din off. And bravo to a show that actually makes me feel those stakes. That actually makes me feel, oh my god, the main character might die right here. And I've not felt that in a while in this show. So bravo to that, because I genuinely thought, holy shit, they're going to kill Din off. They didn't. He's still alive. I'm not worried about that anymore. He's alive. That would have been his moment to die. But of course, you know, he's like, I want the Darksaber. She runs back. They're shooting forward. They open up the blast door. She's trying to cut a way out for them all to get out there. And Paz Vizela stays behind as they're all retreating. And he takes out a ton of them. And then the Praetorian Guards, I think that's what they're called, come back. And we can stay. I think if Paz Vizela was at like full capacity, 100%, still could have taken them all out. But absolutely just, they kill him. And that's the final shot. Is Bo-Katan, I feel, feeling defeated, but angry. And that entire fleet is going to come down for vengeance. It is going to be a decimating thing. I hope next week is like as long as this episode, if not longer. I cannot wait for next week. This was one of the best episodes of The Mandalorian so far. I think there is a conversation and a discussion to be had that this is the best episode. It's not my personal favorite. I would still say the Ahsoka episode, The Jedi, is probably my number one. Then the Luke Skywalker one. Then the finale for season 1. Then this. But I might move that up above Luke Skywalker. This might be my second favorite. I'm going to have to rewatch it because I've rewatched all the other ones countless times. But I definitely want to hear your guys' thoughts. This is the way. And I love it. It's great to say I'm a Star Wars fan. So, you know, last week they had one of the worst episodes of all time. And this week they have one of the best. Hopefully next week joins the ranks of the best. Thank you so much again for watching this, guys. And of course, until next time, stay classy.